Anine! Hello everyone and welcome back to another week of healthy school snacks. This week we will be making oven roasted chickpeas. Chickpeas are the perfect healthy snack with fiber and protein to keep you full. Super crunchy and coated with 2 different flavors this week, these will quickly become your go-to snack. The first thing we're going to want to do is use a strainer to drain and rinse the chickpeas underwater. Once you've drained and rinsed your chickpeas, you can go ahead and lay them out on a kitchen towel or paper towel and pat dry. This is when you're going to want to discard any of the skins that may have fallen off. We want to try to remove as much moisture as possible. If you have time, let your chickpeas air dry for approximately 30 minutes. If you're looking for something to do while you wait for your chickpeas to dry, go ahead and preheat your oven to 400 degrees. It's been just over 30 minutes and the chickpeas are looking pretty dry. I'm still seeing the odd skin, so I'm just going to take the time to grab what I can so that I can throw them out. I'd also like to apologize in advance for this strange glow that appears to be happening today. Once you've got your chickpeas ready to go, you can use a large Ziploc bag like this or a Tupperware container, whatever is easier for you to grab. I'm going to try and transfer my chickpeas into the bag by creating somewhat of a funnel in my paper towel. Now it's time to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. We're using the olive oil to coat the chickpeas to ensure that they don't burn while they roast in the oven. Zip up your bag and go ahead and give those chickpeas and oil a good shake. With your baking sheet, you can go ahead and put down a piece of parchment paper or a silicone tray liner. Once you've got your parchment paper down, you can go ahead and pour your chickpeas onto your baking sheet. Make sure you spread your chickpeas evenly in a single layer. And there we have 1 baking sheet ready for the oven. Go ahead and complete the exact same process with that second can of chickpeas that you've already drained, rinsed, and left to dry. There is going to be one difference with this second tray. Before we put it in the oven, we're going to sprinkle 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of salt onto our chickpeas. This second tray will be our cinnamon sugar chickpeas. Now it's time to cook. Go ahead and place both of your baking sheets into your preheated oven. Our chickpeas are going to take anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes to cook. We are, however, going to want to make sure that we stir them around every 10 minutes until they're golden brown. While our chickpeas are baking, we've still got work to do. Now it's time to start mixing our seasonings. Today I'm going to use these small Tupperware containers because they're easy to shake around and they're also easy to store. Let's start with our cinnamon sugar. We're going to go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of sugar. Next, we'll add 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. Once you've got both those items in your container, go ahead and shake it around. I'm feeling like this still looks very cinnamony, if that's a word. So I'm going to go ahead and add another tablespoon of sugar. Shake it around and take another peek. It is still looking too cinnamony for my family. Going to add 1 more tablespoon of sugar. Mix it around. It's definitely starting to look better. So I'll put my lid on and I'll just pop it over here for now. Now it's time to get to work on our ranch seasoning. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Next we'll add 1 teaspoon of onion powder. Now we're moving to half a teaspoon. So we're going to add half a teaspoon of dill and half a teaspoon of parsley flakes. The only thing left is our salt. This I'm going to measure over top of the lid just so that I don't make too much of a mess. And there we go. So we'll give it a good shake. And here's basically what it's going to look like. So we'll set this one aside as well. And then we can go ahead and clean up the work area. Here is our first tray of chickpeas. They're really hot. So let's start with the cinnamon sugar. We're going to do our best to evenly distribute some of this cinnamon sugar over the chickpeas. Again, like I said, we're just going to do our best. As you can see, I'm not using all of it. We're going to go ahead and shake up this pan a little bit, just to try and make sure that the chickpeas are coated in this delicious cinnamon sugar. Now that we've got them coated, we are going to pop this back into the oven for another 10 minutes. Here's our second tray. This is the tray that will be used for our ranch chickpeas. I didn't realize that you couldn't see it. I just transferred these roasted chickpeas into a small mixing bowl. There we have them in our bowl. So we're going to add half a teaspoon of oil. And we're doing this so that our ranch mixture will stick to our chickpeas. So I gave it a shake and I feel like I still need a little more, so I'm going to add another half teaspoon. Now it's time to add in our ranch seasoning. Once you've got all of your seasoning added in, go ahead and shake up your chickpeas. These are delicious. So when it comes to storing roasted chickpeas, you can store them in an airtight container. So instead of dirtying another dish, I'm just going to pop these back into the same container I had my ranch seasonings in. I'll give them another shake. And they're good to go in this container. Now, here are our cinnamon sugar chickpeas. As you can see, some of the cinnamon sugar has burnt a little bit, which is totally fine. It's to be expected when the sugar and cinnamon start to caramelize. So I'm just going to use a fork to try and move away those burnt chickpeas. Now these are still going to be a little wet, so we're going to let them sit until they're completely dry. Should only take about 10 minutes. Once they're completely dry, you can go ahead and pop them into your other airtight container. And there you have your oven roasted chickpeas. Now to quickly recap. The ingredients you'll need for roasted cinnamon sugar chickpeas is 1 can of chickpeas, drained, rinsed, and dried, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 4 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, and half a teaspoon of salt. Ingredients for your ranch chickpeas are 1 can of chickpeas, rinsed, drained, and again dried, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of dried dill, a half teaspoon of dried parsley, and half a teaspoon of salt. And now for some last minute notes. Make sure to remove as much moisture as possible after rinsing your chickpeas. Use paper towels to remove any surface moisture, and if you have time, let them air dry for 30 minutes. Discard any skins that fall off during the rinsing and drying, and you can store the crispy roasted chickpeas in an airtight container, but the texture will become chewier and less crispy as the chickpeas sit. I hope you enjoy these recipes. Thank you for joining us, and until next week, Ona!